Hello, everybody. I'm Justin Perez, and welcome back to the Air Raid Saturdays College Football YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be doing a new style of video, or at least introducing it to the channel. I plan on doing this. I plan on doing this style of video for as long as I have a chance to run this YouTube channel, and that's just making. It's very simple. It's a very simple concept, but I think it's kind of fun, and it will add content to this channel. It can get a discussion going between myself and all you viewers out there. But today, I'm gonna be doing my point spread picks every single week throughout this college football season. So I'm gonna be going through the schedule every single week, and I'm gonna be picking the more noteworthy games that are worth mentioning. And I'm just gonna be doing something simple. I'm just gonna be picking and choosing who I pick to cover the betting line point spreads every single week, whether it's the favorite or the underdog. If you watched my ranking of the top 7 games for week 0, which come up this Saturday, then you'll notice that I put a betting line bullet point, or whatever you want to call it. I put the betting line info in the game info section below every single slide. I basically just tell that, but I didn't mention who I thought was going to cover the point spreads. So I'm going to be doing that here, obviously. Pretty basic. I picked the underdog or the favorite, like I said, and I explain why I believe that they're going to cover the point spread. Very basic. For those who are not familiar with betting, basically picking a point spread is very basic. So basically, you have the favorite and the underdog. The favorite is highlighted by a minus sign next to their name, and then next to the minus sign is the amount of points that they're favored by. And then the underdog is the same, but instead of a minus sign, it's a plus sign, and then the amount of points that they're favored to lose or win by. Now, for the underdog, if you pick the underdog to cover a spread, then you basically pick them to either win or lose the game by the amount of points that they're favored. Oh my god, getting confused. So basically, if you pick the underdog, then you pick them to win or lose the game by the amount of points that the Vegas odds makers predict. So with the underdogs, you pick them to either win or lose the game by the same amount of points or by fewer. So let's just say a team is an underdog by 8 points. So basically, if you pick the underdog, you're picking them to either win or lose by 8 points or less. And if you pick the favorite, then you pick them to win by 8 points or more. And like I said, the favorite has the minus sign and the underdog has the plus sign next to their name. I'll pretty much leave the minus sign next to the favorite just so I can tell you who's the favorite in the game heading into this week. And then I'll decide on who covers the point spread. Pretty basic, pretty bare bones, but I think it'll be kind of fun to just showcase who I think is gonna cover the spread every single week. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm gonna be going through each of the 7 games, and I'm gonna be briefly telling you why I believe one of the teams will cover the spread. So let's get into it. Alright, now let's transition over to the slide here that I made for each of my point spread picks for week 0 slate. If you watched my ranking of the top 7 games this week, or the top games this week, then you realize that there's only 7 games during the week 0 schedule. I made this slide based on the order in which these games kick off. So Navy Notre Dame kicks off, I believe, at 2:30, which is the first game, and then the latest game that kicks off is FIU at Louisiana Tech at 9 o'clock. I put the game information, like the betting line. Obviously it's here as well, but I put the network that the game will be showed on, the time, the Eastern time kickoff, because I live in the East Coast, so I put that there, and then I also put where the stadium was located. But that's all in the ranking video where I rank the top 7 games for this upcoming Saturday. I'll put the link in the description, and also I'll put the card in the upper right hand corner if you want to check that video out. But as you can see, like I said, there's only 7 games for week 0, and I'm just going to go through it. So the first game on the slate is Navy versus number 13, Notre Dame. That game's going to be kicking off at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC, I believe, in Dublin, Ireland. And obviously, I talked about a little bit of this game, during that ranking video. Obviously, I talked about all of these games a little bit in that ranking video, but I mentioned how even though Notre Dame struggles to teams that they should be able to beat easily, I think this game, can be a little bit close in the beginning. I think that Navy, that Navy will be able to at least frustrate Notre Dame defensively early in the ball game. And if Navy wants any sort of a chance to pull this off, then they're gonna have to do it by means of running down the clock, running the football, moving the chains, and keeping their defense on the sideline for as much as possible. Even though, with all that being said, I do think that Notre Dame will cover the spread. Notre Dame is favored by 20.5 points, and like I said in the intro, the team that has the minus sign next to their name are the favorites, and the teams that have the plus sign next to their name are the underdogs. Now Notre Dame is favored by 20.5 points, and to me that doesn't seem like too big of a spread. I think Notre Dame will be able to score enough by the fourth quarter to where they're comfortably ahead. So basically, I'm projecting Notre Dame to win by 21 points, so by 3 touchdowns, and I think that's more than capable for them. I think they're going to be able to at least cover that spread. And to me, it's not the toughest spread for me to pick, and I'll get to that spread later on. I'm sure you can already, just by looking at the numbers, I'm sure you can already guess what spread is the toughest for me to pick on. But if you haven't gotten that yet, then I'll mention it when I get to that game. But yeah, I think Notre Dame's going to cover the spread easily. I project them to win by more than 3 touchdowns. They should win by more than 3 touchdowns. It's just, like I said, it all comes back, are they going to be able to execute, and are they going to be able to avoid another struggle against a smaller team in Navy? So, yeah, so I have Notre Dame covering the spread at 20.5 points, so I'm picking them to win by 3 touchdowns by 21 points. So I have Notre Dame covering that spread. And also, by the way, before I move on, all of these point spreads that you see on the screen, I got these point spreads from thescore.com. I have the app and, the Score app. I have the Score app on my phone, and that's usually the app that I use to get all my sports scores and everything. So I got those point spreads off of thescore.com. I'm sure the point spreads are almost identical on different sites, but they might be a little bit different. You can check on ESPN and Fox Sports and all these other sites for their point spreads. But I got these point spreads on thescore.com. So without that being said, let's move on. So like I said, I have Notre Dame covering the 20.5 point spread against Navy, and we're moving on now to Jacksonville State playing at home against UTEP. Like I mentioned several times, this will be Jacksonville State's first a game at the FBS level, and the point spread is pretty bare bones. It's just a point. Jacksonville State is favored by literally a point in this game. That's how close that Vegas thinks this game will be. They think this game is going to be really close, and I agree with them. I think this game will be close. I think this game will be tightly contested all the way through, and I think that Jacksonville State will win this game. Again, it's a point, so pretty much, I pretty much have to pick Jacksonville State, because it's more likely for Jacksonville State to win a game by more than 1 point than UTEP to lose or win by a point or less. You know what I mean? I mean, it's impossible for them to lose by, less than a point. So I'm if I pick them to cover the spread, I'm pretty much picking them to win by a point, which I don't think that'll happen if they win. So I think Jacksonville State's more probable, the more probable bet to pick if you're choosing this game, just because it's more likely for them to win more, to win the game by more than a point than it is for UTEP to win or lose the game by a point or less. So I think Jacksonville State will win this game. I think it'll be a touchdown difference. I think it'll probably be a 27-20 ball game, or 24-17, something along those lines, 17-10, 14-7. I don't think it's going to be a super high scoring game. I think it's going to be a game where both defenses hold each other, hold the opposition to no points for most of the day. But I think that Jacksonville State will pull up, they'll pull ahead late and they'll win that game. So I picked Jacksonville State to cover the 1-point spread. Now moving on to the, in my opinion, the best game during week 0, and that's Ohio going on the road to take on San Diego State in the newly formed Snapdragon Stadium, which is San Diego State's home stadium now. I think Ohio's gonna win this game, and I also picked them to win by 3 points. I think this game's gonna be really close. I think both defenses for both of these teams are pretty good. You know, they're nothing amazing, but you know, they're rock solid. Obviously, San Diego State under Brady Hoke, who used to coach my Ball State Cardinals. Obviously, San Diego State is a program that's known for having rock solid defenses, and Ohio, even though they're known for more solid offenses, they've proven to have pretty good defensive teams over the years. So Ohio was the underdog by 2.5 points, so essentially by a field goal because you round it up when making bets. So Ohio at this point, I really think that they're gonna win this game, and I think they're gonna win by a field goal. So I'll take Ohio to cover the 2.5 point spread over San Diego State. It's gonna be a close game. It's gonna be an interesting game, and it's gonna be a game that I'm gonna be watching from start to finish. So I'm picking Ohio to cover the spread. And then next we have UMass at New Mexico State. New Mexico State is favored by 7.5 points, or 8 if you round it off. And UMass under Don Brown, I talked about it. They're somewhat improving, especially defensively. I think they gave up an average of over 40 points a game the year before he came to UMass. And then they dropped that down last season to a little bit over 20 points a game. So they're getting better. But obviously UMass is going to be, again, hampered no matter how good the defense is. I think that their offense is going to be the Achilles heel. I don't think that UMass is going to score a ton of points during this season. I don't have enough faith that they're going to be able to do so. And New Mexico State's offense is pretty high powered with Diego Pavia at the helm at quarterback. So, you know, I think this is probably the easiest point spread to pick out of all these games, just because of the fact that we all know that New Mexico State is going to win this game against UMass, and I project them to at least win by a couple touchdowns. This game should not be close by the end of the fourth quarter or by the middle of the fourth quarter. So I'm going to pick New Mexico State to cover the 7.5 point spread against UMass. Next, we have Hawaii coming into Vanderbilt in First Bank Stadium in Nashville, or wherever First Bank Stadium is. I think it's in Nashville. Now, last season's meeting, I believe Vanderbilt absolutely destroyed Hawaii. But obviously, Hawaii and Vanderbilt, they're sort of on the same level against each other. You know, I mean, Hawaii's one of the worst teams in the Mountain West this year, and Vanderbilt is going to be one of the worst teams in the SEC this year. Whatever magic that Vanderbilt was able to pull off last year, I don't think that's going to happen again this year. I think Vanderbilt ended up finishing 4-8 and 5-7, and that was their best year in a long time, which is pretty pathetic. Now, Vanderbilt is favored by 17 points, and even though Vanderbilt is the bigger school here, they're the SEC school. I just mentioned how Hawaii should not have any issues with Vanderbilt as far as covering the spread. I think this game's going to be a lot closer than what people are realizing. Hawaii is not a very good football team, but so is Vanderbilt. They're not a very good football team as well. So if you're asking me, I'm picking Hawaii to cover the 17-point spread. I'm not necessarily thinking they're going to win that game. I'm still picking Vanderbilt to win this game, but I think that Hawaii will make it a lot closer than, you know, a 17-point game. I think they'll at least lose by maybe a touchdown or maybe 14 points, but I don't think they're going to lose by more than 17. So I'm picking Hawaii to cover the spread. Next, we have the San Jose State at number 6 USC game. And remember how I mentioned that the Notre Dame game was not the toughest point spread for me to pick? Well, I was referring to this game here. This is by far the toughest point spread prediction to make during this week if you're going to go out and gamble on these point spreads. And the reason why is because even though San Jose State is clearly outclassed by USC talent-wise, San Jose State is still a pretty respectable team in the Mountain West Conference. And the Mountain West Conference has proved over the years to go, you know, against these Power 5 conference teams and really give them a fight, at least in the first half. And I think that'll probably be
the scenario here. I think that USC is going to start off a little bit slow in this game in the first half offensively, but I think they'll pick it up in the second. Now, USC's favored by 30.5 points, and I think that's a really big point spread. I don't know if USC is going to be able to cover that spread, but part of me believes that they are, and I'm going to go with my gut feeling here. So I'm picking USC to cover the 30.5 point spread against San Jose State. I don't really believe that. Even though San Jose State might make the game competitive in the first half, I think that USC will pull away in the second, and I think USC will be in front enough at halftime to put themselves in a position to cover the 30.5 point spread. So technically, I'm picking them to win by 31 points. This is the toughest point spread for me to pick. And if you're picking any college football games this week, I highly advise you to stay away from this one, because this game could be a lot closer than what people are picking. I'm not throwing anything out the window. It's really possible that San Jose State gives everything USC can handle. But I still think USC is going to cover the point spread, although I highly doubt it. So I have USC covering the 30.5 point spread as the favorite. And then finally, we have Florida International going on the road against Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech is the favorite by 10.5 points. If you're asking me, I think this game's going to be a lot closer than an 11-point game for Louisiana Tech. I think that even though Florida International is considered to be the worst team in Conference USA this season by many, I still think they're going to put up a fight in a lot of these games, and I think this is going to be one of the games that they put up a fight in. I think that Florida International is going to lose this game for sure, but it's definitely not going to be by 11 points. It'll probably be by a touchdown or less, or probably by 10, but not 10.5. I don't think that FIU is going to get blown out of the building and lose by 2 touchdowns to Louisiana Tech. I mean, it's possible, because Louisiana Tech did bring in a lot of transfers this year that should help out their offense, and it should help out, for them, in scoring a ton of points. But if you're asking me, I think that FIU is going to cover this spread. So I'll take FIU plus 10.5 in their game against Louisiana Tech. And that's going to do it. That's going to do it for my point spread picks for week 0. Obviously, like I said, week 0 is sort of like the appetizer for the college football season. Not many exciting games, but we do have some intriguing ones. And it's not a full-fledged slate like every other week is, but it's at least something for us to watch before we get into the real stuff starting in week 1. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know if you think that that I'm wrong in any of my picks, or if I'm right, if you agree, or if you disagree with any of my picks. And let me know your point spread picks down below in the comments section. Remember to please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. See you on the flip side, and take care, everybody.